This week's top story is a notable increase in the rate of volcanic earthquakes. Meanwhile, in Tonga, the home reef volcano erupted once again, forming a new large crater and changing the shape of the world's youngest volcanic island. And, in what is this week's top story, a crater of Indonesia's Dieng eruption volcano produced its highest recently measured level of carbon dioxide emissions, suggesting that something might be occurring underground. While raised temperatures had recently been observed at Timbang crater, and Seleri crater specifically erupted in early 2025, the latest activity surprisingly occurred at a different one of the Dieng volcano's more than 24 craters. What I am referring to is known as Sikandeng crater, which is contained within a portion of the much larger Telaga Warna Lake. Sikandeng crater does not have any known eruptions or historical similar activity of the same intensity, so what is ongoing is unusual. This latest activity occurred between June 6 and 8, when elevated levels of carbon dioxide were detected, reaching above what is deemed to be the safe threshold of 0.5% concentration or 5,000 parts per million. For reference, the current typical concentration of carbon dioxide in the general atmosphere is 430 parts per million. Such high concentrations, which reached just over 6,000 parts per million, occurred, resulting in the partial closure of the associated crater. Why exactly these increased gas emissions are occurring isn't certain, but scientists are keeping a close eye on it. Home Reef's new crater. Meanwhile, in Tonga, the Home Reef volcano, which rose above sea level on September 10, 2022, had been fairly quiet for a little more than a month heading into late May 2025. Yet, it appears that this was only due to a volcanic plug forming, with building pressure underneath it eventually becoming sufficient to break through the overlying rock, generating a powerful new volcanic explosion on May 27. This explosion created an ash plume of undetermined height, but more importantly carved out a new 96-meter or 315-foot wide crater in the dacitic volcanic edifice. The power of this explosion also seemed to have undermined the stability of a portion of the island's outermost section, resulting in 3 sections producing a series of small landslides. These landslides caused a few thousand to few tens of thousands of cubic meters of rock to slide into the Pacific Ocean, reducing Home Reef's overall size by 750 square meters. Kachinorabujima. And, in Japan, the alert level was raised at the island stratovolcano of Kachinorabujima on June 11 in response to an increase in the number of earthquakes, which have totaled more than 100 in a 10-day period. These earthquakes have largely been centered beneath the Furudake crater, and this is somewhat unusual. The reasoning? Furudake has not produced an eruption in historical times, as the Shindaki crater has been the site of all of the more than a dozen historical eruptions at this complex. Shindake's eruptions are largely volcanic and generate pyroclastic flows, largely towards the west due to the topography of its most active crater. As a result, people were warned that theoretical eruptions from this volcano could cause various hazards within 2 kilometers of the 2 aforementioned craters. Here is a quick list of all of the world's list of erupting volcanoes. Volcanoes which are currently erupting. Additionally, here are some volcanoes showing signs of unrest which are not erupting as of the recording of this video on June 14, 2025. As a final note, I would like to thank my new patron LEGO